Jim Feist and Andy Isco from Las Vegas, Nevada. And, buddy, I'll tell you, and I'm just going to tell everybody out there, we're looking at probably Saturday and Sunday, we might be hitting 120 degrees. If you're having air conditioning problems like I am at the present, it's not fun. Ever notice that your air conditioners never go out in the winter? That's a joke, by the way. You don't use them. You don't know they're broken. When you start turning them on, there's always something going wrong. Anyway,
actually, they tell you that you should turn it on once or twice in the winter months just to keep the thing cycling, even if you don't need it, but just to keep the parts moving.
Andy, that's great advice. Too bad I didn't take it.
Well, we don't need it right now. Right now, we looking at the temperature, and here it is. We are 1 minute past 10 in the morning, and we were already up at 104 degrees.
Oh, nice.
And headed today, I believe, to 110 in the mid to late afternoon.
I think it's going to be higher than that, but okay. Somehow you kind of disappeared from the screen. I don't know where you are.
Let me see what's happening.
Did your camera move or something?
Hold on, I'll try and get better. You should be able to hear me.
Oh, I hear you well, yes. But I'm seeing kind of a...
Yeah, I may just unconnect and reconnect. I don't know what it is here, but...
That's fine. Anyway, we were going to talk a little bit about the Ryan Clark thing with ESPN and all that, but honestly, I don't know enough about it. I can't make my opinion, which doesn't matter anyway. It's a complicated situation. I'm just going to stay out of it. I got enough of my own problems, and I know all of you do too. There's a lot of things we got going on. We got baseball's really heating up. And we're heating up everywhere. I mean, I'm talking about heating up the pennant race and the playoff race and the temperatures. I mean, this is brutal. I always wonder how people work outside in this heat without having medical problems. I mean, I know you got to hydrate, that's for sure, and you got to wear the right clothes. And I know there's some special clothing you can wear that actually can cool you off. And I might have to start wearing that in my house if my air conditioning doesn't come back on. We haven't got Andy come back, but there's a lot of things to talk about. I mean, the hot items, I just mentioned the ESPN Ryan Clark thing. The WNBA has its own issues with their top players, and of course, Caitlin Clark is the hot button in that league. I'm not going to say she's the best player in the league. I don't believe she is, but she certainly made a big difference when she came into the league. They're much better off because she came into the league, but apparently not all the players really accepted her in that way. There's Andy. He's back.
There we go.
Hi, Andy. Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
We're all good now. Andy, we've got the big thing, of course, and I know you're really on top of all the contests and all the money that's available. Not easy to win, but available. What are going to be last year we took the Westgate and the Circa were the big contests. Is that going to be the situation again this year?
Yeah, pretty much as far as a nationwide appeal or exposure for the major handicapping and survivor contests around the country. I know that there's some of their, the online sites that have contests also available where you don't have to go to a physical place to sign up. But Westgate and Circa, Westgate has 4 contests. They have their long-running super contest, 5 picks a week against a point spread for 18 weeks. So you make 90 picks over the course of a season. They have a college contest that they introduced last year, which was very popularly, very well received. They wasn't sure how many entries they would get at $500 a pop for the entry fee. You pick 7 games a week over, I think this year it's 13 weeks. But they received a little over 1,000 entries last year, so that should grow this year. And then they introduced years ago the Super Contest Gold, which was a $5,000 entry fee one winner take all prize. That's been going on probably about 10, 15 years now. And last year they introduced their own version of Survivor, which was a $5,000 entry fee. And it's like the last man standing type contest. You pick one game a week, winner straight up. If you win, your entry advances. If you lose or tie, if you loses or ties, you're out. You can only pick a team once. And Circa, which was the main challenger after many, many years of basically a monopoly with the Westgate contest, back in 2019, they introduced their Circa Millions, very much along the line of the Super Contest, the historical Super Contest, 5 picks a week against a static point spread, but they guaranteed a prize pool, and the winner in the Circa Millions, and they pay 100 places there compared to only, I think, about 20, but they have many in-season contests in Westgate as well. They introduced it with with a first place prize of $1 million in the Circa Millions. They guarantee a $6 million prize pool. They haven't quite reached that $6 million in the last few years because the popularity of Circa Survivor has just blown up like crazy, where last year they guaranteed $15 million and they paid out almost 18.3 million, I think it was, or 18.6 million, something like that last year. They had, I think, 6 people share in that prize. And then they introduced last year a Grandissimo, which is the same Survivor contest, but it's a $100,000 entry fee. They guaranteed $1.5 million last year because they didn't know how many people would put up the 100,000. They ended up getting, I think it was 69 entries. So they actually upped it this year. A little bit conservative in the upgrade because they don't know how many people are going to come in for that fee, but they guaranteed $4 million this year, so they need 40. I think they're going to get between 75 and 100, even at that high price. So those are the major contests. The difference with the Circa Survivor is that this is the 7th year of that contest, and they really want to have one winner take the whole thing and not split it up. So far, every year of the contest, there's always been multiple winners at the end of the season, so the contest has never ended like December 3rd with one person left. So they introduced a couple of tweaks. The ones that have been going for the last couple of years, they split Thanksgiving week and Christmas week into 2 separate contest weeks, A and B. So the contest could go, and has gone, like, for example, the last few years, the full 20 weeks. Now, the thing that's interesting this year, and I don't think they did it in consultation with the NFL, but I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing surprises me, and I'll tell you why. Thanksgiving week this year is the Wednesday night game, the 3 Thursday games, and the Black Friday games. So 10 teams are going to be involved in Part A of Thanksgiving week. Again, you pick one. You can only pick a team once, okay? But you got to make sure you have teams left for the Thanksgiving week and the Christmas week. Christmas week consists, I think, of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I believe that's a total of, I think it's 8 teams are going to be involved in that one. And I believe 6 of the teams that play in that short Thanksgiving week are also going to play in that short Christmas week. So they're making it a lot more difficult down the stretch because you're saving good teams for Thanksgiving. 6 of those 10 teams that play that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are also going to be involved in, I think it's Thursday, Friday of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Wow, that is going to make it so much more difficult.
Yeah,
because you're really having to box out so many teams throughout the first several months of the year. I mean, that's really tough.
Well, in theory, I always suggest that, number one, I'll give people a little strategy hint here. Even though I'm in the contest and I'm going against everybody as well, my chances are no better than anybody else's or worse than anybody else's. But what I emphasize to people is that you are limited to playing a team to win only once, but you can play against a team as often as you like. So in other words, let's say you think the Arizona Cardinals are going to be by far the worst team in the league. You're not going to play against them every week necessarily, but you can find spots you want to play against them. And if you happen to be right and they end up 3-14 like they did last year, okay, you might end up being able to avoid picking some of the teams that you would normally like to pick because you're picking against a team. So you will, let's say I'm going to throw out Carolina, for example. Let's say Carolina, which is expected to be a contending team in the very mediocre NFC South this year. Let's say Carolina is a team that, as you go through the schedule before the contest, before the season starts, Carolina's not a team that you plan on using. But let's say, and again, I don't have the schedule in front of me because I'm using this as an example. Let's say Arizona is on Carolina's schedule at some point during the year, and you've decided that you want to play against Arizona as much as possible because you think they're going to end up battling for that number one draft choice. So maybe now, let's say in week 8, Carolina and Arizona are playing, and let's say it's at Carolina. You might say, okay, I'm playing on Carolina, but I'm really playing against Arizona. So that's when you use a team that you normally wouldn't pick. Over the course, if this contest goes to 20 contest weeks, that means there are going to be 20 unique teams that you will have to play on. But that also means there are 12 teams that you don't have to use at all. And any of those 12 teams that you don't have to use, you could use multiple times playing against those teams.
That's a great tip, Andy, and I'm sure the people out there will appreciate
Hopefully
it.
they understood what I was saying in my long rambling dissertation.
Well, you always give great advice in detail. Now, that might mean people don't understand it, but basically pick some teams that you don't think are worth a damn and just keep betting against them. Because this
whether it's betting or in this contest playing against them.
Well, yeah, this is not a point spread contest. It's a win or lose contest. There's no points involved.
Correct.
Now, if you're in the classic tournaments where point spreads are involved, that's a different story. So, but this is straight up.
Well, I was going to mention one of those because for locals mostly, because you do have to have your things submitted, I guess people can proxy for it. They have a last man standing at one of the local chains, Station Casinos, and that is a point spread contest. They have one for the colleges, one for the pros. I think they guarantee a $75,000 prize for the colleges, $150,000 for the pros. I believe that's what it is. I might be wrong on those numbers. It hasn't come out the details for this year. But that one you can play on a team as often as you want because it is against the point spread. So, you can play a favorite laying points or you can play an underdog taking points as many times as you want because a point spread is involved as opposed to a straight up where obviously it's easy to pick the Rams over the Arizona Cardinals, whatever, straight up. But you may not want to lay the 8.5 to 10 points you might when you're in Arizona playing them.
What is that? How many games a week is that?
That's one game a week. It's an inexpensive contest. It's one of those you buy 4 entries at $25. They throw in a 5th entry for free. So it's a low end contest, but it'll draw. Oh, I don't know. It'll draw probably close to 100,000 for the entries for the pros and probably about 50, 60,000 entries for the colleges. It's mostly for locals or people who visit Vegas every weekend. And they put up, I think, about maybe 30 college games and then all the games on the NFL schedule, except in the rare instance where when they put the sheets out, there may not be a line on a game or two.
Do any of these contests take totals?
The last man standings do not. In fact, the only contest that used to take totals was the Golden Nugget. That for many years, I don't want to say 8 to 10 years, they had a contest that combined college and pro. They'd have every game on the board, side and totals. They did away with the totals after 2 or 3 years because all the wise guys who were in the contest were always playing the line moves. There was a contest lines come out on a Tuesday and a total in Pittsburgh, Syracuse might be 52.5. And then all of a sudden, when the contest selections are due on Friday, the actual betting line has gone from 52.5 down to 47.5 because of weather. So they'd instinctively, understandably, and logically play, well, this game is now 52.5 on the contest because the lines don't move. And the betting on the board is minus 47.5. I'll play the under 52.5 and have a 5-point edge over where the line was. And other people may just be playing at 47.5. They may not even be aware of focused on the contest too much. They may say, it doesn't matter. I don't like the 52.5. I'm still going to go, I'm going to go over the 52.5, even though the line is down. I'm going to go the other way. So that was the one contest that did present that, but I think they may have gotten a lot of complaints that wasn't really handicapping, although I admit that, hey, handicapping involves any way you've come up with to play on a team. That was basically playing line moves. Well, that's a handicapping technique that people use all the time.
Yeah, that's really bull. But anyway, I'm not involved in that. So there are no totals involved in any of these contests.
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe offshore, some of the contests do have that involved.
And there are offshore contests as well?
Yes. I'm not familiar with them because I don't do much offshore, but I know that there are people. I think DraftKings and FanDuel, which are the nationwide ones, which are not eligible to be registered on by folks in Nevada, to participate on those pools. But I believe that they're very widespread and they're nationwide in virtually every state that has legalized sports betting.
Now, you're also a proxy for
Yeah.
a lot of all these contests. Um, how have the signups been so far?
It's typical. It's generally slow throughout much of the period leading up to August, and that's been the case almost every year. And then people start planning their trips into Vegas in August and early September to get closer to the start of the season. A couple of the big organizations, I remember Vegas Insider used to have a seminar. Bet Bash, I think, is now the national one that comes in early August. Westgate, their Super Contest weekend around the third weekend in August. They're not having that this year, largely due to their partnership now with the sportsbook of Westgate being effectively, I think it starts today, actually, that they're going to be handling the wagering aspect of these Superbook operations. Caesar Sports will be doing that now going forward. The contest will still be administered by the Westgate property and the Westgate Superbook. But if you have a wagering account at Westgate, that'll be transferred over to Caesars. I'm not quite sure on the mechanics of it. I've been waiting for the email, and I imagine it's coming out. Could be there today. It could be there within the next couple of days because I think the transition is supposed to begin today. But yeah, if people want information on the proxy thing as far as mine is concerned, and actually in general, they can go to my website. I have a link on the home page of my website. I publish newsletters and things like that for handicapping as well. So that's also prominently displayed. But for the proxying for the contest, that's very prominently displayed below that, I think that segment. And it takes you to a page on my website where I talk about all those major Westgate and Circa contests. I give you the highlights. I explain the proxying concept. It's communication is so important. Communication and clarity and how it works, how I do it. And I think a lot of proxies do it similarly, but I also include links to the official rules. So if someone has a question that I might not have thought of, or at least didn't think of it, to put in my highlights, which are like 7 to 10 highlights about each contest, you can go right to the official contest rules, and that'll explain everything you need to know: payouts, number of paces played, what the pay structure is, what the scheduled deadline is for submitting selections, etc. And that website, the homepage is thelogicalapproach.com. And right there you can find, I have my countdown clock for the number of months, days, hours, and seconds to that Seattle hosting New England opening day on the 9th of September, first game of the regular season. And below that, you can find the information.
In the first game, and
that's the Thursday night game, the Australia game.
The Australia game.
Yeah.
That's first time we've played a game in Australia, isn't it?
It is, and I believe I don't know if I don't think it's the first time we ever played a Wednesday night game. Sometimes Christmas came out on Wednesdays and things like that. But as I recall, I understand that they wanted to have the Friday night game, but I think it conflicted with a rule Congress passed in the 1960s to basically make Friday night telecasts of football games exclusively for high school football. I think that had to do with Texas mostly. So they did it. Yeah, it's the 10th, which is the Thursday, which I think is actually Friday morning in Australia, which will be interesting. I'll be interested to see, unless Australia declares a national holiday on that Friday, I'll be interested to see what the attendance is, considering it'd be a work day for most of those mates.
The mates, okay.
Yes.
We have a list.
I love that accent. There was a book out years ago that someone had me get for her. I think one of the books was called Speaking Strine, Strine, which is the way that they would pronounce Australian, Strine, Speaking Strine.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
It's great accent, great words.
We had a list of things that we wanted to talk about, Andy. Which list,
Yeah.
which topic do you want to go to next?
I have up here. Well, let's see. Some of the things we mentioned. Well, you were going to mention about Dom DeMarco show.
Well, this is the Dom DeMarco podcast, and it's a continuation of the live show that we do at Dom DeMarco's. And Andy will hopefully join us one of those Wednesdays or more than one. But I know he's really busy during the season, and we are about 100 miles away from where he lives at Dom DeMarco's, 9785 West Charleston here in Las Vegas.
I do still have to eat lunch, however. So.
Oh, that's right. You got to eat. So
and it's going to be on Wednesdays, right?
It's on Wednesday. Well,
Yeah.
it's actually the first show is September 2nd
Yeah.
at noon at 9785 West Charleston. And the food is magnificent. We get a pretty good crowd, usually in the 20 to 30, but sometimes we get a little bit more and we have a seating issue. But it's in that range. And
By the way, just to let people know how great the show is, there are a lot of wise, seasoned bettors and handicappers and veterans who show up on a regular basis to the show. That's the kind of information that's given out.
I'll give you an example of that. I mentioned to a guy the other day, and he said, "You have any outs that I'd like to add an out or two for this year? These are big players, of course." And I said, "Well, I can mention your name to a couple of them, and that I know." And I got two answers back, and says, "Hell no, I would never take that guy." So when you're talking about some real pros, you're talking about people that bet more than most people make in a month on any game in
Six
a lot
figures.
of games. It's pretty incredible, and their wisdom, and experience is amazing because they've been doing it a long time. There's some people that nobody will book; they just won't book them.
Which is an interesting. I'd like your thoughts on that because I've always had my thoughts on that. If I were a bookmaker and I had a successful player, wouldn't I want to be on his side more often than others so I know who he's betting and I can adjust my numbers and make it attractive for the public to take the better number on the other side because I'm shading it towards the guy who's 60%?
The answer to that is yes, but there's also a caveat to that, and that is,
Yeah.
if this person's plays get out, the line moves too quick, too fast, too widespread. Doesn't give you a chance to go out there and play along with that person, which is what I would like to do. If I was a book and the guy says, "I'm going to bet 50,000 at -4 on this team," I'm going to take the bet and I'm going to go right out and see if I can get a 4 or a 3.5 and bet the same thing and try to be on his side, because I know the guy over 20 years, he's going to win 19 years. I mean, she's that damn good. But, the problem is in this information age, everything gets out so fast. Yeah. So it's hard to move. And that is the issue. And
see, I was looking at it from the bookmaker side. As far as doing that,
no bookmaker wants to get stuck with these people's action. That's the problem. Yeah. It's just because, matter of fact, I know one guy who's so good. He's on the show frequently. He was so good, the bookmaker told him, "I'm not going to take your action anymore. I'm just going to pay you what you win and come work for me." True story.
I understand that, yes.
So, and I'm definitely not mentioning any names.
No.
But that's the kind of audience, and we usually have 3 or 4 panelists, and when they speak, people listen, believe me, and lines move.
Which is why so many, I'll call them dignitaries of the sports handicapping betting industry, show up at Dom DeMarco's.
That's right. There's a lot of talking heads out there, and believe me, there's a lot of smart people in the business, and there's a lot of different ways of attacking. Let's talk pro football. I mean, you can be a trend handicapper, you can be a stat handicapper, you can be now the new thing is the AI handicapper.
Yeah.
Which I don't think has evolved enough yet to really believe in them, but I think it will be down the road. Because, in a computer situation, garbage in, garbage out, but AI will probably be able to decipher the garbage from the reality down the road. I mean, it's just going to evolve, and that's the world we live in, folks. And you're talking to a guy that was born in an age before television. So there's a lot of acceptance that I've had to go through, just cable TV, television itself, stuff like that. And then the fax machine, the iPhone, everything has been, this last 80 years of technology has been absolutely incredible. And I imagine that's not going to stop. I mean, going forward the next 40, 50, 60, 100 years, it's going to be absolutely incredible. So I don't think they're stopping. You're going to stop AI. I think AI is going to replace an awful lot of what everybody does. I mean, I would not want to be in a position, maybe if you're a plumber or a carpenter or somebody has to work with your hands and stuff, like AI is not going to be able to replace that. But Andy, what positions are safe?
Well, anything, I would say a lot of white collar jobs will probably be affected because that's just, it'll involve some decision making. But I think the worker type jobs, like you said, the plumbers, it's difficult to imagine those jobs. Number one, you're still going to, I don't know that robots could ever do a very good job of fixing a pipe leak. Experience counts for a lot, and I don't know how well AI can handle, I won't say gut instinct, aggressive tendencies. Like you say, garbage in, garbage out. We don't know what goes in. I know, and I use the example all the time that when I use some of these search engines to find answers to questions, I would say 60 to 70% of the time I get incorrect information. How do I know it's incorrect? Because I'm asking basically to find out, to verify the information that I know is correct because I wrote it down, I've witnessed it, etc. And I just want to get validation just to see what's going on. Like, for example, certain point spreads in certain games. When was the last time Alabama was more than a 6-point underdog? Okay. And I go through my records and then I verify with other sources that I know are accurate. And I know the answer. And then I ask the search engine, or the I guess they call it the assistant now, the artificial assistant on these phones. When was the last time that Alabama was a more than a 6-point underdog in a football game? And it'll come up with some answer, which is not the correct answer. So I will then say to the assistant, I say, okay, my information shows that it was not 2016, but it was back in 2006 against Auburn that Alabama was, that's just an example I'm making up, that Alabama was more than a 6-point underdog. And the answer will come back, you are absolutely correct. I'm sorry. It was indeed on October 13th, blah, blah, blah. And that happens so often. And remember, we're just talking about facts here. We're not talking about learning from one mistake to another to improve something. We're just looking for, it's like looking through an encyclopedia, and they put a lot of information. So I think that there are going to be some jobs that can't be replaced. All I know is this. I would not want to go to a doctor who has a diploma on the world from the University of Artificial Intelligence. Just like I'm still not comfortable going into any car that does not have a human driver.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we're going to be uncomfortable with going forward, but they're not stopping. We're going to have to get used to these changes. But I will say this about AI. You're right. It's not 100% right now. It's not 100% accurate. But in 10 years, it's going to be damn close because it's going to evolve. And there's going to be somehow built in checks and balances. We have a football season coming up, both college and pro. There's a lot of work to be done over the next 5 weeks.
You had an interesting topic along those lines. Which favorite that finished last in the division last season is the best candidate to finish first in its division this season?
That's where I was going. Okay, so let's say we think the Raiders, who were pretty bad last year, now that they have some new people, new players, we think they're going to win their division. They're going to go from whatever wins they had last year to 11 or 12 this year. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not saying the Raiders are going to do that. I'm just talking in general here. There could be, who could be? It could be Arizona. It could be the Raiders. Who else was
Cleveland.
really bad?
Well, it's interesting because
Cleveland is not in the league anymore. They shipped them out. They're gone.
Well, it's interesting because the books give us an indication of who that is by posting the odds to win a division. So the team, the fourth place team in the 8 divisions with the best odds would be the team that you would think would be the team most likely to win the division this year. For example, in the AFC East, the fourth place finisher last year, I believe, was the New York Jets. Okay, to win the AFC East this year, they are 32-1. Okay, Cleveland in the AFC North is I got to look at the division. 32-1. Cleveland is 19-1 in the AFC North as the fourth place team from last year. Tennessee is 10-1 to win the division in the AFC South. I believe that's correct. Yeah. In the AFC West, the Raiders are 18.5-1. So right now, of those teams, Tennessee at 10-1 is expected to be, or is shown as the most competitive fourth place team from last year. Looking in the NFC, it was, I guess, I think the Giants finished last, and they are plus 580 to win the division this year. Because they have the longest odds of the 4 teams, and those are still the smallest one of the fourth place teams we've seen. In the NFC North, Detroit is actually plus 160. That's going to be the answer, I'm almost certain, without even looking at the NFC South, where New Orleans is plus 310, and that's the lowest so far there, even though they're not the lowest team in that division. Carolina is. And the fourth place team, Arizona, is 35-1. So actually, Detroit, which finished last in the NFC North last year, is actually not just the smallest of the fourth place teams. They are actually the favorite in the NFC North to win that division.
That's absolutely incredible. Andy, that approach that you just took is excellent. Excellent idea to go that way and look at that.
The thing
I had not done that, but I'm listening. I'm sitting here listening to it. I'm saying the odds are they're highway robbery. Those odds, they should be a lot higher in every case. And
the one that I was surprised is the AFC South with Tennessee, the fourth place finisher last year, and their odds this year to win the AFC South. What did I say they were? They were
10. You said
10-1, and that's in a division where you've got 3 solid quote unquote favorites. You've got Houston at plus 145. You've got Jacksonville at plus 185. You've got the Colts at plus 345, and then you've got Tennessee at plus 1,000. 10-1, and so obviously it means that those are still short odds, but I think they're shorter than they should be given the price of those 3 favorites. And the other one that drew my attention was the NFC North. I'm sorry, the NFC East, where Philadelphia, the defending first place team, is plus 150. Dallas is plus 185. Washington is plus 465, and the Giants are plus 580. That's still a small price, but again, of the fourth place teams that they're suggesting, those have the longest odds, which means that relative to the other 7 divisions, not relative to the other 3 teams in their division, but relative to the other 7 divisions, they have the division where the fourth place team is at the last year's fourth place finisher is at the shortest odds.
This is a great approach. The problem, of course, with that is those odds are in comparison to the other 3 teams in their division and not to the overall league. And so, but still, I mean, if you're betting those futures, you're really getting robbed with the price. I mean, those prices are terrible. They should all be probably 30% higher than they are. I mean, if you're getting 5-1, you should be getting 8 or 10-1.
Some of these teams like Arizona, even at 35-1, considering the 3 teams in their division who each won at least 12-1, seems awfully short. Now, of course, injuries could impact it. And the other thing is, you have only 3 other teams that you're competing against to win that bet. Now, obviously, they're much better than you are, which is why you are last in that division. I mean, that's why, for example, the Giants are plus 580 because, in theory, they are the worst of the four teams in that division. And the same thing with Tennessee at 10-1, which is a short price relative to the other fourth place teams from last year, but relative to the other three teams in the AFC South, especially Jacksonville and Indianapolis, it's a lot more difficult for them to win. But I guess they are given if you look at it from the odds presented, and again, you do have to analyze it in context of the other three teams that they would have to beat. They are the team that, at least based upon the odds, is given the greatest chance, but that chance is not that great compared to the teams that they have to beat.
Now, the Lions, it's shocking, fourth last year to now favorite to win their division.
Keep in mind, by the way, they were a 9-8 team last year, so it's not like a fourth place team that was 4-13.
Right, and they had some atrocious luck, and of course they did lose their offensive and defensive coordinator.
Yep.
And they were not adequately replaced, of course, but they're pretty well intact. But I don't remember the last time you had a fourth place team that was actually favored to win their division the next year.
No, they're not favored to win. Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about Detroit. Yeah, I can't think of one either. I was thinking, Tennessee was not favored to win the division. They're just the shortest odds of the fourth place finishers.
Who's going to be the first team
to lose a game?
Or
the last team to lose a game.
Yes.
Yeah, that you have to take a look at the schedule. Sometimes I think it might be easier to take a look at which team will be the last team to lose a game, as opposed to the last team to the last team to get their first win. Which team that would be. And I think you'd have to take a look at the five worst teams according to the season win total. So you got Arizona, and I'm trying to find their first winnable game at the Chargers, home to Seattle, at San Francisco, at the Giants. It's different than if it was home to Detroit, at the Rams, home to Denver, at Dallas, at Seattle, home to the Rams, at Kansas City, home to Washington in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, the 12th week of the season, and they haven't had a bye yet. Maybe the home team, maybe the game against Washington would be the first game that Arizona could win. Okay, the only winnable games that, from a point spread, you think home to the Jets, home to Las Vegas, which are both later in the season. So Arizona could be a team that is the last team to win their first game.
So they might have a 1 or 2 or 3 win season. And what is their season win total?
I believe their season win total is, let me see if I can get that out here. I believe it is 4.5.
Well, see, now this is one that you and I need to talk about because it's advantageous betting. A lot of times when you're going to bet, let's say we want to bet Arizona under 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why not bet them under 2.5? You'll get a much better price. All this, and you're going to get an advantageous situation where you got a team here that may go winless.
Yeah, based upon the schedule.
So why not bet them?
Even if this was an average team with 6 or 7 projected ones, that's still a brutal schedule they're facing.
Yeah. They're not going to get any sleepers inside their division. That's for sure.
No.
And now
Arizona, they have
what I'm trying to say
4.5, 5.5. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, if you're going to bet a team over 7.5 because you like something about, why not bet them over 9.5?
Yeah.
Why not?
Because I did that with Dallas
this year.
I like 9.5. I like them to go 11-6 or better.
What
kind of price? Over 9.5, which is the regular line, plus 105. Over 10.5 is plus 190.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, this is another tip. I mean, Andy talked about if you're in the contest, bet against the team so many times because they're bad. This is one. If you like betting these win total, I mean, a lot of problem with this is you're tying up your money for the whole season. But if you have that type of situation where you either have the cash or you got a credit account, then you can do this. Yeah, don't try to lock in at the number that they give you, because 75% of the time every year, I mean it's pretty standard. 75% of the time, when they don't hit that number, they're going to go. It's going to be removed far enough for you to get advantageous numbers in your
you're
favor.
not necessarily going to you'll be above or below by half a game. In other words, if you're at 8.5,
Correct.
you're not likely to be at 8 or 9. It's quite likely if you're under your 8.5, you could be at 6 wins, and if you're over 8.5, well, look, the Patriots had 4-win seasons back to back. They were 8.5 last year. They ended up winning 14 games, so they were 5.5 games above their season win total. So yeah, if you had played, and I don't think they had it last year, but if you had played over 13.5, you would have probably got about, I don't know, 60 to 1 on that.
Of course, the other way you could do it is roll it over throughout the season. You could do that as well, and you'll get even better.
The problem is that once you lose,
you're done.
You're done because you've already gotten your 6 or 7 wins. So you have to do that a little differently.
Correct.
But I think Arizona, just based on the schedule there, I don't know that I even need to look at the rest of the teams. I can't see any team having a sequence of games like they have with the 2 in the first 12 weeks. There are only 2 games that I can even see them being competitive, is at the Giants, even though I think the Giants are the much better team. And that's like I think I said in week 3 or 4. And then you got to go down to week 12 when they host Washington. And I think Washington's going to be a better team. So maybe it's their home games in December against the Jets and against the Raiders. I think they're both at home, and one of them may be on the road. I don't think it really matters. And by the way, if Arizona is that, I think Arizona may actually be a little bit better. Brissett finally agreed to terms yesterday with a nice restructured contract, so he'll be the quarterback. And I think they do have some nice running backs that if they can get a decent play out of the offensive line, they could win some games. But I can't see them favored to win any game this year other than maybe the Jets and the Raiders late in the season.
Brissett is, nobody's going to say Brissett is a world beater, but he has talent and he has experience. Which of the worst teams has the newest unproven head coach and the least likely successful quarterback?
Well, Miami has a new head coach, but they've got, who is it, Willis from Green Bay, because Green Bay, the coach came from Green Bay. I think some of the management came from Green Bay. So Miami, many people that I've listened to who have opinions I respect based upon their track records and their overall, just the quality of their analysis, most people seem to think Miami has the weakest roster in the league overall. They're clearly looking to build for the future. So I think Miami would be one of those teams, but let me see if I can get their schedule out here. And I think I do recall them having some, I'll call them winnable games early. At Las Vegas in week 1, that might be one of them, because although Vegas is expected to start Kirk Cousins, at least early in the year before they turn it over to Mendoza. But again, a new coach who's a first-year coach in Kyle Kubiak. At the 49ers, home to Kansas City, at Minnesota, home to Cincinnati, open date, at the Jets. That might be a winnable game in week 6.
That could be. The Jets. The Jets do have, they had a failing season last year with the same coach. They have Smith, the quarterback now, and he had another failing system last with the Raiders. There's no guarantee that those two guys are going to turn it around. I mean, Geno's had some decent years, but not a world beater. And their defensive head coach has not proven that he's he's a head coach. He's a damn good defensive coach. We know that from when he was with the Bears. But no, that is very winnable. Yes, totally.
So the thing that's interesting about Miami is they open at Vegas. They play at the Jets on October 25th, and then they host the Jets on November 29th, which coincidentally, November 29th is when the Arizona Cardinals host Washington. So they could both be winless at that time.
And is that going to be one of the weekends for Thanksgiving contest that split the week?
Yes, the 29th is the 29th is a Sunday of Thanksgiving week.
So that what that means, folks, is because of this. If you're in the circuit contest, that's the only place it's going to matter. Is this? It's going to be a separate week for those games in, like, I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, something like that, and they do that so they can try to get down to less people at the end of the season.
And by the way, last year, keep in mind, on Thanksgiving, all three favorites lost outright on Thursday, and then the favorite Philadelphia lost at home on Friday.
No kidding.
The field took a beating last year.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And everybody had saved
I'm
the
talking
teams.
straight up, yeah. Some of those teams
they saved the teams so they could play them, and they all lost.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm going to see if I can find those numbers from that week last year in time for when we get together next week.
That's an incredible.
But no, that could be, for example, if Arizona is that bad and they haven't won a game, and if Miami hasn't won a game, because really the only winnable games until that point are the opening game at Vegas and the first match at the Jets back in late October. So you could have a play on the Jets if Miami is still winless, even though the game is at Miami, or you could have a play on Washington if Arizona is still winless.
Unbelievable, Andy. So we have switched gears a little bit. We're going to be doing a lot of football, of course, and now that everything's going, we're going to be ratcheting up more content for football, including some college stuff as we get closer. This past week, LeBron James, who's had a hell of a career, comes out of high school in Akron, Ohio. He's become a billionaire or a multi-billionaire through his business acumen, along with his basketball skills. Hats off to him for amazing.
By the way, before you continue, because we're going way back, LeBron James has had perhaps the most remarkable career of any athlete in modern history. Because remember, he was featured nationwide, ESPN, when he was still in, I think, junior high school.
Yeah, I think he signed a Nike contract while he was still in high school.
Yeah, because he went right to the pros. He didn't play college.
Yeah. A lot was expected of him because of all that at a very young age, and he got kind of a choker's brand on him because that was too much pressure for a young kid. But he was really good, and he has been really good. Now, he made a decision this past week to join the 76ers. Well, in the East, in my opinion, it's only my opinion, I felt the 76ers had a tremendous roster to begin with. Now, I can't trust Embiid to play very many games every year because he's always hurt, but they have a lot of very good players on that roster. And since Brown left the Celtics, there's some question marks there as well. Now, of course, you got the Knicks who won the championship, and I can't knock the Knicks for anything. They're good, and they're going to remain good. The Heat would be another team you'd probably look at, maybe, Oakland and stuff like that in the East. But the East is generally thought to be weaker than the West. So when he picked the East, I thought he would probably go to Cleveland because he's from Akron, which is right down the road. But he didn't. He didn't go for money, that's for damn sure. He's only playing for $4 million a year, which is unbelievable when you consider how much he's been making. So he didn't go for money. His choice was to go to the best roster that he could fit in with and maybe win another title. Now, anytime I've competed in anything, I've always played to win. I didn't play to just have fun and sit back and lose. And no, I don't think anybody likes to lose. So going someplace where he thinks he can win kind of makes sense to me. I didn't know it was going to be Philadelphia, but I knew they had the best roster that was on the board. Going West Coast made no sense to me because you're going heads up against the best teams in the league.
Spurs and Thunder were the two favorites to win.
Yeah. So
in fact, at Circa, those prices are kind of ridiculous for futures. Spurs plus 270, Oklahoma City Thunder plus 260. That's to win the NBA championship, not the conference, not the division, the NBA championship. So going to the East made perfect sense.
I don't want to talk bad about anything, but these prices that they offer on these futures are absolutely horrible. You just can't play them. First of all, you're tying your money up forever, and the numbers you're getting back are so low. I would never want to do that. But in any case, Andy, what's your opinion?
Which, by the way, is why a lot of professionals never or rarely play those kind of futures.
Right. Andy, you went to Pennsylvania University, Philly. You got Philly ties because of that. What do you think of this move?
I can understand it. Let me see. You got like the Celtics. Well, they're 19-1 to win the whole thing. 76ers are plus 850. The Knicks, I think, are plus 825. The Cavs are 35-1, and they have a nice little roster that could have been considered. So I don't think it's going to be, to use an overworked and perhaps not even applicable phrase, it's not going to be a slam dunk that the 76ers are going to be true title contenders just because of LeBron. Now, keep in mind, LeBron, even in his age, his late ages of basketball, had a really good year last year. He averaged slightly over 20 points per game with the Lakers, and he was not the number one guy. Doncic, when he came in there, took over. And I think that, and LeBron is shown to be a team player. He doesn't have to be – he doesn't have to prove anything to anybody, And he does have an opportunity to win, a fourth championship with a fourth different team, I think it is, if I remember correctly. Miami, Cleveland, and Lakers. So I think he likes that challenge. I think, as you mentioned, he does have a very good roster. The difference between the East and the West, and you sort of alluded to it, is in the West, you've got two really, really good teams in the Spurs and the Thunder, but even the teams who you rank 3, 4, and 5 may still be at a level or even maybe slightly better than the best teams in the East. And so what I'm saying there is that he has a better chance of winning with a team like the 76ers because there's really no one dominant team in the East that he has to worry about. And can you really make a difference between the Knicks, the Celtics, and the 76ers? Then maybe you throw and improve a team like an Atlanta, or certainly of the Cavaliers, that it might be somewhat easier. The path might be somewhat easier because the quality of teams that you would have to beat to make it to the NBA Finals in the East is not nearly as good as playing the Spurs or the Thunder in the West, where you're probably looking at the Spurs and Thunder again meeting for the Western Conference Finals, barring injuries that shorthand one of those two teams.
I totally agree. I think he made the right choice. If you want to win another title, it is. I mean, you can't talk about him.
Miami was the other team that's interesting with the ruthless that they have and Giannis coming over, but Giannis might be towards the end of his career as well.
Giannis would have been a hell of a duo with those two. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's not basketball season, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I thought that was the right roster for him. I didn't think he was going to choose that. I thought he was going to think Warriors because of his friends, and then of course Cleveland because of where he's from. But he went with the team that I think had the opening, and signing for $4 million a year is like him working at McDonald's. So very interesting. We saw a golf tournament this past week. Young man that had great credentials in college, and he did play. He played great, and he showed no signs of choking at the end, even though Scotty was chasing him. Scotty, by the way, is they call him the world's number one, and I can't argue with that because there's no other player that consistently beats him. He just runs into somebody different every week, but he's always in the top 5. He's right there, and I would have to say he's the top money earner all year long. I don't know that for a fact, but the fact that he's always collecting big paychecks, even though he might be second or third, there can't be anybody that.
I'm not sure about the money list, but they have that FedEx thing, the points and all that. And he's number one with I don't know exactly how they assign the points, but he's number one by 800 points over Matthew Fitzpatrick, who's number 2. So
I think he's really dominated. He's a great player. Maybe he's not as dominant as he was. Maybe that's because the competition has gotten better. It was a great the 3M, which a lot of people probably said, "Why the hell's he playing that?" He showed up.
Yeah,
he did. He showed up, and the kid, I can't think of the kid's name, but he I think he's going to be around. He had a hell his college credentials were amazing. So there's some real good college shows that we have on
Jackson Koivun, Koivun.
Proline TV has a great golf show, NASDAQ show, etc. We have NASCAR, I should say. And this is the Dom DeMarco's podcast, 9785 West Charleston. We will be live September 2nd at that location. And we hope to see you all there. Andy, I hope we get you there. I know you're busy as hell. But today's show,
I'll get there sometime. I'll say probably in September at some point.
Okay, good. Andy, thank you for today. Really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Jim.
Thank you, everybody. Signing off.